Ah, sunshine, blue skies. Just one layer on. Surely it's August or September. No, it's the 1st of November. Can you believe it? Weather like this, 1st of November, I'm setting off on the walk and I'm too hot already and I've had to remove my waterproof layer. I'm on Islay, and today I'm heading up the highest hill on the island, which it's difficult to find pronunciations for places. Usually the place I go to is Walk Highlands, of course, because they've got a great audio thing for most of the hills actually that they have routes for, but this one's a bit smaller and some of the smaller hills don't have you can't press a little button here to pronunciation, so I don't actually know how to pronounce it. I know that it's anglicised to Beinn Bheigier. It's spelt Bheigier, I think. So it's got that BH to start off with, which means it is going to be a V. But I don't know, Beinn Bheigier. I don't know, to be honest, I don't know. I did try and find out before I came out, but I don't know. If anyone knows, do enlighten me. But anyway, that's where I'm headed today, and it's up there. This one here. That's not actually, as is always the case, there's always a subsidiary summit, so that's not actually the top. The top's about a kilometre or two beyond that one. Well, there's actually more of a path than I thought there'd be. All the write-ups I've seen for this hill say what an interminable, boggy trudge it is, with little semblance of a path, but I'm definitely on a path. It was better back there because they've been planting new trees, so there's a few quad bike tracks well established fairly recently, which makes the going a bit better. But at the moment it's just a nice slow plod, and that suits me fine. If anyone who's more familiar with these blogs might be noticing that my pace is somewhat slower than it might otherwise be. As I said in the last blog at Tainish, I am still recovering from a knee injury, and this is a very, very tentative outing for me. The one at Tainish, it was barely over 100 metres from sea level, and that was fine, but this one is just shy of 500 metres. But that's not to say it's not a bit of a haul, because it starts at sea level down there, down at the coast. Hills like this are deceptive in that they are a modest height, and you think it's not going to be much of a haul up, but there's no nice well-worn path to its summit, and it's wild. This is rugged, wild land, grassy, boggy. Probably a bit better going today than it might otherwise have been, because it has been dry. I know everyone's been saying, everyone I meet in my job certainly keeps saying, oh, what an awful summer we've had, the wet summer we had. Very much, as ever, depends on where you were this summer. Certainly out west, I think generally most of the year's been pretty dreadful. But through the central belt, in the east, certainly in Fife, it's been a weirdly dry summer, back end of spring, and even autumn. There was very, very wet in July and a bit of August. But apart from that, it's been really dry. All the rivers, all the burns are almost empty. It's very dry underfoot. I'm not sure whether it was just the gloom, maybe, that made people think it was a dire summer. Maybe they thought they couldn't get out much, but I was out all the time in May, June, and September and October. October's been amazing. Certainly out east it has. So I think people are being weirdly selective with how they remember the summer that's just gone. It's certainly not on a par with ones like 2012. Was it 2012? When it bucketed down all summer, truly wet. It's not been anything like that. And the fact that it's so dry underfoot, even here, I think shows just how dry it has been. Just can't get over the weather. This is November. It's certainly not unprecedented having, it is mild, it's not unprecedented having mild weather like this. When was I? I was up a hill a few years back this time of year, camping overnight, and it was oddly mild. I think last year, Halloween last year was a record breaker, wasn't it? A record breaking warmth or something, but it's certainly over 20 degrees in some parts of the UK. There seems to be a trend in recent times of having these mild autumns. I think one symptom of that, mild autumn's coming out in a rash, if you will, is I woke up this morning in my nice plush cottage with a tick buried into my arm. The first one I've had since spring, I think. I suppose it's inevitable really, but kind of hope they'd have disappeared by now. It used to be the case. I'm sure that they used to have gone by now. You do need quite a few nice hard frosts, and we just haven't really had those yet. Certainly not back home where I am. But it does feel more like those glorious days you get in April, end of March, April on the west coast, when everything's this brown colour before it goes green. Only it looks the same now, but we're at the other end of the year, of course. It's just going to stay this colour until spring now. But it's has that appearance that much of the uplands of the Inner Hebrides, Southern Hebrides do. Certainly reminds me of Rum, really sort of quite difficult walking. Lots of purple moorgrass and heather and tussocks. A really craggy coastline. It's beautiful. Suddenly it's much nicer walking. It's all this sort of really short, close cropped heather. Enormous difference just from rising up. Came up about 20-30 metres on this ridge, up onto this ridge here from down there. And down there the heather was sort of knee deep. Makes a big difference. A little bit of height. Not so much in terms of the temperature, the effect the temperature has on heather, but certainly the exposure to the wind. Suddenly it's really short. Drainage is better as well. And suddenly it's really nice to walk on. All this spongy stuff here. It's lovely. I don't know if it's what I was expecting or not really from Islay. It's my first time here. I think I knew there was lots of farming here and that. So I always assumed it was quite a green island, but I suppose when you think about how many whiskey distilleries there's really peaty ones. It goes without saying there's going to be lots of peat, I suppose. But I don't think I expected it to be quite as rugged as it is. But the ruggedness is confined to the eastern side of the island. This side, further west, is much flatter, much greener, and a few lochs. So it's contrast. It's a lot of contrast, as with Scotland generally, I suppose. Nice contrast between the west and the east. I was fortunate really for arriving in Islay, seeing as it's my first time, because I sailed in from that way, from Kennakraig, in Argyll, and had a nice sail past Jura, which is somewhere that has captivated me for as long as I can remember. Sort of mysterious, wild place, and I really want to walk the west coast. But this is the closest I've ever been. When I sail past, just 500 metres from the shore, that's the closest I've been. So that was really nice arriving yesterday. But leaving from Kennakraig yesterday, it was quite a dreary old day. And as you sailed west, it got better. And getting off the ferry here at Port Askeg, it was brightening up a treat. But by that time, it was about 3 o'clock, and I had to get to my accommodation, but I didn't know where. I knew where it was, but it's nice to arrive when it's daylight so you can actually find the place. But you never know what the weather's going to do for the rest of the week. So I just headed straight out to the nearest enormous, great big lofty west-facing cliff I could find, which I think is it called the O Peninsula, OA? The Mother of O, if that's what it's called. Apologies to locals if that's not what it's called. I'm guessing. And watched the sunset by the American Memorial, which is a memorial to 2 troop ships that were sunk in 1918. Enormous, beautiful stone memorial on the cliff top. Really, really nice. Beautiful place. Enormous cliffs. And again, I don't think I expected Islay to have this enormous, grand coastal scenery in the same way that Mull does and places like that. So that was a real nice surprise, and it was a beautiful evening, and I'm glad I did it, because like I say, you never know what the weather's going to do. Today's glorious, but what will it be like the rest of the week? Could be filthy. But the amusing thing about this place, I suppose a lovely thing if you like whiskey, is the smell. I mean, I don't know if people are having peat fires anyway, putting peat on their fires, but there was a smell of peat. And certainly, coming through Bowmore, the smell was amazing. Just the most amazing peaty smell. The smell of whiskey. But the whole place is just like this weird whiskey theme park. I've been drinking Islay whiskies for a fair few years now, and these beautiful names, Lagavulin, Bunahaven, Ardbeg, all these places, Lafroig, these lovely evocative names that you only ever know as the name of a drink and just some far off distant place. So to suddenly come here and have all of them sort of I mean, there's not much space between them, they're just one after the other. It's quite surreal. But so yeah, I mean, the island's got a very distinct, unique identity, I think. It looks very different architecturally from other islands, I guess, just because of all those distilleries and wonderful whitewashed buildings. Summit. Sadly, no, it's not. It's a subsidiary. The actual summit is way over there. Oh, it really is nice walking. Of course, you have to be careful you're not going to trip over rocks and that, but it's dry. Really nice to walk on. Beautiful walking on things like this, especially in the Cairngorms. It's quite reminiscent of that. The kind of upland landscape you can just keep walking in, and you're not going to fall into any bogs or anything. Just a pure pleasure. And there comes that moment where you cross the watershed or ridge, and suddenly the views open up on the other side, and oh my goodness, what views they are! Wow, it's much clearer on this side than it is on the other side. It's quite hazy behind me. Oh wow. Well, having come over that ridge, Jura is laid out over there. The Paps of Jura, very distinctive quartzite peaks that can be seen from all over this part of Scotland, the whole of the west coast pretty much. And you can see Mull way off in the distance beyond. And the summit is up there. Not too far, a kilometre or so, half a kilometre. There's always just one more hill, isn't there? So close now. There we are, the highest point of the island. With I apologise for the incessant buffeting of the wind. It's been steady all the way up, but interestingly, it hasn't been cold. I mean, I'm sure that's partly because it's been so sunny, so it's felt a bit warmer, but it's not a cold wind on the 1st of November. So we have Jura way over there. The adjacent hill here, people make a circuit of the two, and you come down there and end up on the shore again. It's quite a nice walk along the coast, apparently, doing sort of horseshoe of these two hills, but I'm only doing this one today, of course. Way out in the distance over there, I can't pick it up. I mean, it's very hazy today, but I can see the hills just popping up above the haze as Mull. Way over there, where the ferry came in from, the long line on the horizon, again, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the big long line, it's a headland over there, way over there, and it stretches all the way over here like this, all the way over here, That's Kintyre, of course, Kintyre Peninsula, which goes into Argyll, mid-Argyll as well. And then out the way we have the rest of Islay, which stretches over this way. Looking quite hazy today. Beautiful though. Way out that way, and I can just see it, and I had really good views of it yesterday when I was at the peninsula way over there, the other side of Port Ellen. Antrim's out there. I don't know how far away it is, maybe 20, 30 miles perhaps, but you can see it sort of all the way out there along the horizon. You can just see parts of it popping up over there. You forget how close Northern Ireland is when you're over here. As with most hills that you have on small islands like this, where the surrounding land's not very high and you're right by the coast, so you're always going to be way up above sea level anyway. At just shy of 500 meters, it feels much bigger than it really is. It's wonderfully rugged, it's rocky, not what I was expecting at all, but a real pleasure to walk on. It didn't require that much exertion getting up once you got through the boggy bits, and it was really nice on the short, heathery, rocky ground. But now I'm up here, I mean, it's in this light as well, this time of day, this time of year, when you get the low light at this time of the day. Sunset's only a couple of hours away now, and the sun goes down quickly, but you're starting to get this lovely definition to everything, even though it's hazy. Nice low golden light. It's beautiful, wonderful place to be. It's just a shame that that's been left. Now I'm going to be charitable and decide that maybe someone forgot it, or maybe it dropped out their bag. They didn't leave it deliberately. Who'd do that? I'll empty it out and take it down. Well, I've had a good 25 minutes or so up here, just watching the light sinking that little bit lower, everything getting a bit sharper. Quite happily stay up here for another few hours. I've got plenty of warm clothes, but it's 3 o'clock, sun sets in under 2 hours now, and it really does get dark quickly. It was quite striking yesterday when the sun went down way out west, just how quickly it happens once it starts going down this time of year. You forget, I think, during the summer. So it's time to head off, reluctantly. What a wonderful hill.